The father and son from the US narrowly avoided a catastrophic family tragedy after they made a last-minute decision to turn down seats on the doomed Titan submersible. Las Vegas financier Jay Bloom and his son Sean had originally planned to go on the ill-fated sub, but pulled out of the Titanic-bound trip after raising safety concerns. Jay Bloom joins us now. Jay, what's the past week been like for you?
So, past week has been quite surreal for us. You know, the eyes of the world have been on this tragedy that unfolded over the past week, and it's very strange when my son and I were supposed to have been on that trip and elected not to go, and instead we were substituted by another father and son, where the son was about the same age as my son. And it's been a bit of a roller coaster. When the sub first went missing, it was a bit of shock and disbelief, and some optimism and hope that they'll be found soon enough. And by day 4, day 5, you know, every time I would look at the news, and it was inescapable here in the United States. It was on every news channel, online, social media. Didn't matter where I went, and I would see pictures of these people. And I would see a picture of the father and son, and all I could think of is, but for the grace of God, there go me and my son. That'd be my picture and our picture instead of the picture I'm looking at. So very harrowing, very haunting experience.
Of you and your son, who was it that first had some hesitation about this whole thing, and why?
So it was actually my son. I was excited to go. I was excited to be able to provide this for my son because he was an enormous fan of the Titanic story ever since he was a little child. He's 20 years old now, but I was excited to be able to give this to him, and he was excited initially as well. And then he spoke to his close friend, who raised all kinds of doomsday scenarios. You know, this is, if there's a problem, hey, there's no escape. There's no real way to recover from this, and it put some fear into him. And then he started researching it, and he started to get concerned about a carbon fiber hull. This is the first time a sub has had carbon fiber hulls, and it's untested. And this was an experimental vehicle, even though it was sold to us as being extremely safe. He was very concerned it wasn't. And the more I researched it, the more concerned I became as well. He also found a video of Stockton Rush, the owner, showing the controls, and the controls were basically a consumer video game controller. That was it. That's what controlled the sub. An Xbox controller, a Logitech game controller. And I became very concerned at that point that this company was using consumer-grade electronics for commercial application in probably the most hostile environment on the planet.
Jay, the CEO of OceanGate, Stockton Rush, flew out to Las Vegas to try and allay your fears about the sub. Why couldn't he convince you?
The fact that he was coming to see me in a 2-seater experimental aircraft that he had built to pitch me on going on a 5-seater experimental sub to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean to view the Titanic wreckage. The fact that he flew an experimental aircraft to come see me, that threw me. And he viewed the safety concerns that I raised as more of a difference of opinion than a factual problem, where he was so convinced, he had so much conviction and passion for this project, that any facts that came in, no matter how ridiculous, if it supported his position, he would accept them as true. And any facts that, no matter how credible they may be, as if they challenged his predisposition, he would dismiss them as just another opinion that was wrong. And I thought he was being somewhat cavalier about real risk and somewhat irresponsible and reckless in kind of the risk he was willing to undertake. And I think it didn't come from a malicious place. I mean, obviously he believed in the safety of what he was doing because he was on the ship himself, right? So he believed what he was saying. I just think he was wrong, and I think he was wrong because he drank his own Kool-Aid.
Jay, appreciate your time. Thanks for talking to us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure.